Yesterday was a really fun vibecast. I get in this crazy flow sometimes, and I don't even know what I'm building, but that was a more interesting one, I think. Rob, how you doing? What do we have lined up this week?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks, Roof. Yeah, so we've got a little bit of open mic time, and then we've got as well because we've only got three out of four. So we've got Adam from Plotly who's going to be joining us and giving us a demo, and then Vincent, our ambassador of the Paris chapter, is going to take some time. There's some really interesting stuff that's shaping up for the Paris chapter next week, next Friday. So he's going to give us a rundown on that, and then also like to invite Dragan. He's got his chapters event coming up shortly as well. So we'll hear from some of those guys, and it's a fascinating week. There's all kinds of folks from the community that are building on some of your tools, AgentDB and such, Roof. So it'd be really neat to see some of those maybe next Friday, see some demos of where some of these extrapolations and experiments are going, what kinds of tools with tools are being built. So interesting stuff.
Awesome. And I see Nick with his baseball. What he's
Today's the
our
day.
yeah, he's our local sports guy. Everyone's bugging me yesterday because I brought up the World Series here that's happening in Toronto tonight, and apparently I'm like the worst baseball announcer ever. So Nick, what do we have to look forward to in on the baseball front here? He's the expert. He's who I refer to.
Well, we've got a young rookie, Trey Savage, starting for the Blue Jays tonight. He started in low A ball at the beginning of the year and
Yeah.
traveled to about five different professional leagues to start game one here. The biggest baseball game in the country for 30 years. So it's quite a story.
Well, it's exciting. It's been 30 years since last time, and it's almost like a nation versus nation battle that we're going to be having here for it. So it'll be exciting for the baseball fans out there.
It-
Um,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Well, yeah, just his first pitch, Nick, first pitch is at 8 o'clock. Is that right? Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
I
that's right.
There we go.
I feel like I need to build like some kind of like sports analysis. What was it? What do they call it? The movie that came out a few years ago, Moneyball. I
Yeah.
need, yeah, that would be a great little app like that I might actually now that I say it, I might vibe that while we're chatting here today. Some sort of like statistical analysis my baseball thingamabob. I don't
Absolutely.
know.
The gauntlet is down, Roof.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
unfortunately, if you're looking for like sports guy, I'm not really your guy on that. But if you're looking for AI, I'm probably got much better details for you. And our European friends are like baseball. What's he talking about here? It's kind of like cricket, but it doesn't last a week. Okay, I'm done. All right, I just insulted the entire world. I'm gonna quit while I'm behind.
Yeah.
Um, all right, what else do we got going on here? I see Dragon. You've got your big event tomorrow? You're muted, I think.
Yeah, it's next week. Yeah,
Next,
Tuesday,
oh, it's Tuesday.
28. Yeah,
Okay.
on Tuesday, 28. It overlaps with the tribe meeting, so I will probably not be able to join the tribe. Maybe at the beginning of it, but yeah, 60 people already applied. So let's see. I
All right.
expect the crew will start growing in the Serbia. So let's start
Nice.
spreading the word.
Okay. Well, if you're in Serbia and you're watching, make sure you go. This sounds like a great event. And we got another one in Abu Dhabi, if I'm not mistaken. Is that T
Let me
Timmy
just
or
take a
Tommy?
look.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got we.
that's right. That's Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is Rodrigo, and that is tomorrow. That's the one that's tomorrow morning.
All right. Well, we got a new website, and so I showed you
Mhm.
that briefly, but it's up, and I haven't had any complaints, which is probably knock on wood. So I probably should be saying that, but yeah, we've got a new website. and it's looking pretty good. It's got the sort of style, and you'll see if you want to go to one of our events, we got the community page. So again, if you're looking to do an event, let us know. We'll add it here. We got some of the, I guess, the Abu Dhabi ones coming up tomorrow. We got Serbia, we got Paris meetup coming up, and I think we're gonna hear from Vincent here in a bit in regards to what he's been doing in Paris. So yeah, lots of stuff happening. Yeah, it's good. So I'm glad we got it up. Thanks for everyone who contributed. We had a substantial amount of contributors to that. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick update on some of the stuff that I've been working on this week. I have a minor obsession with vector-based systems, as you probably are following over the last few weeks. And I've been working on two parts, separating the vector and memory system from Claude Flow to stand alone. Because a lot of people are like, I love the idea of how you're handling memory and the vectors and the swarms, but you know what? I don't want to use Claude Code. And so so the question was, how do I separate that in a way that allowed you to use it in LangChain or Crew AI or Mastra or whatever your preferred agent system was? So that's what I'm attempting to do with Agent DB, and I got completely sidetracked and carried away and added a whole bunch of other capabilities as well. So for just as a quick recap for those who are not familiar, the biggest addition that I've done recently, and this was really popular in the Claude Flow system, was the reasoning bank. The reasoning bank system essentially allows to learn from experiences to improve over time. So when you look at what's happening within Claude Flow, every time you do an action, you edit a file, you request a website, you ask a question, there's this idea of pre and post hooks. So what the reasoning bank is essentially doing is learning what works and what doesn't in the most simple terms, or feeding information that relates to what it needs to do as it's doing it. So there's two approaches you can take when using these types of systems. You can kind of have it, instinctively learn as it goes, and that's great for certain applications that are kind of more human orientated, your back and forth, your chatbots, that sort of thing. Or you can kind of pre-train it. And I've done several models that are kind of pre-trained on different types of applications or data sets. So in this case, you might want to say, I'm interested in using a particular framework, and I need the system to sort of understand how the framework works. And you often see this when using Claude Code or ChatGPT even, that it's not trained on the information because it's too new or whatever. Like a perfect example is when ChatGPT or OpenAI comes out with a new API, it wasn't trained on it, and it sometimes hallucinates the endpoints and the functionality of it. To get around that, what you can do with these systems is you can kind of pre-train it on the latest information relating to that thing. It could be a document, it could be an API, it could be whatever information you want to do. And this creates a kind of graph structure that defines the overall kind of how all the information connects and is sort of related to one another. And that's using a vector-based approach. And then there's different learning plugins that exist to help facilitate exactly how that works. So the biggest update I've added, I'm going to jump to the bottom, is I've actually, where is it here? Here it is. I've added some new memory features since Monday. So I've added some, and what's interesting about a lot of these features that I've been adding, these are all kind of related to DeepMind, Google. Google's been on a roll for really cool sort of reasoning-based algorithms. So most of this stuff, the reasoning bank and I think the reflection memory and a few others, are all basically DeepMind research papers. What Google doesn't do a particularly good job of is actually creating code for their various experiments. So they're putting out these white papers that explain that we've just cracked the biggest thing in the world, but we're not going to actually share the code with you. We're just going to brag about how good it is. So what I did is I take those papers that are essentially, bragging about how great they are, and then I take it and actually implement it. So in the case of the reasoning bank, I had that implemented within, I think, 12 hours of them releasing the paper. For whatever reason, they didn't really put out much code relating. They put out some code, in fairness, but not a lot. I did a much more full implementation. So in this case, we've got the idea of a skill library. So inspired by the skills within Claude Code, where you can kind of instinctively learn and adapt based on the task in which it needs to do, I created a kind of vector style implementation of that. So within this, you can learn how to do skills. So what does that mean practically? So I'm going to jump. I'm going to show you that. And I did this morning. So I've got a whole bunch of examples in here. These examples are all examples that run within a browser. So there's no cloud infrastructure. There's actually, for the most part, other than the request to Gemini that I'm using for like the agentic marketing and some of the other ones, there's no actual LLM. It's learning without any need for a neural net or a language model. And let me show you what that actually looks like. So I'm going to go and I created this morning. This is actually for Guy because Guy has a background in the military and industrial complex, if you will. All right, so let me do I think what I call battleship. All right. So what this is doing, this is using game theory, which is kind of code for war simulation, to actually use a series of different algorithms to train the system. Now, I know it's very bright and colorful here, but if I click start, I'm going to actually show, I don't know if I have this in the console. We'll find out in a second, but I always include the console. So we can see here that I'm instantiating the library, which is a JavaScript and I'm gonna hit. It's actually using the older one for some reason, but that's okay. And now what's happening here is the system is battling against each other. So if we go here and take a look, it's essentially playing a game of Battleship with other versions of agents that are now using different pattern matching and algorithmic components. So if we click on help, I'm going to do that while it's happening. It's using essentially this idea of different admirals, red, blue, and green. So you can think of like, blue team, red team, green team, that kind of thing. It's using game theory. The game theory uses different types of complex algorithms, Nash equilibrium, Bayesian inference targeting, prisoner dilemma, and min-max, and a few other strategies. And then they're battling to figure out which of those strategies is most effective in sort of winning the battle. Now, this is a perfect example of how you'd use a kind of pre-training to help the system learn how to operate. Now, in this case, it's an adversarial sort of learning process. So adversarial is one of those areas that is both great and terrifying at the same time. So it essentially is battling, right? So this is like all the worst parts of Skynet. But on the other side, it's also looking at this idea of sort of proactively protecting against bad actors. So why would you want to use this? Well, think of if you're creating a security system that is trying to find an unknown threat. People are trying to attack your infrastructure. They're using AI. They're using agents. They're using similar approaches to what I'm doing here to sort of battle each other, but you don't know what that sort of approach might be. So you're sort of defending against an unknown adversary. This type of training allows the system to sort of model, adapt, and understand what the potential vectors are. And then because it's using a vector-based approach, it's actually able to use a similarity or semantic understanding that may or may not be related, right? Where my previous was explicit, if someone is attacking you in this particular way, I would understand it. But if someone use a kind of what they call a polymorphic approach, meaning I'm going to attack you in this way, but I'm gonna make it look like it's something else, the system would fail because it only was trained to see the attack in that particular way. Now, this approach says I can understand this attack even if you're trying to masquerade this attack in a different way. So if for example, exploits for finance, crypto, trading, whatever, it can now understand the same attack but in different positions. So in this case, the Admiral Gamma 1. And what's interesting about the Admiral Gamma is, and this is using a particular approach, this one always seems to win. So it appears that in the game theory, that particular game theory actually in this particular application works the best. Let's take a look at which model that actually uses. Um, so the Admiral Alpha Red is I think I said Alpha. Sorry, I forgot which one won. I think it was that one. Yeah, it was Admiral Gamma, which is this one, I guess. Let's go back.
It was the one
So
at the bottom, adaptive
yeah,
learner.
adaptive learner. Yeah, so adaptive learner. is the one that seems to work most, to learn and work most. It doesn't always win, but it seems, and I've only built it this morning in fairness, but in what I've discovered, it seems to win the most. What's interesting about that, and I'm going to jump back for a moment, jumping around. Hopefully my brain isn't going moving too quickly. There's a model that I've been using that's particularly well. Agent, got a bit of a delay here for some reason. You'll see that I'm using a diffusion or a decision transformer. And the decision transformer, which is essentially what that is, and where did I put that? I think it's in, there's so much stuff I can't even keep track. Here, where is it? Here we go. Yeah, decision. Anyway, I don't remember exactly where I put it, but the decision transformer is essentially one of the models that allows it to understand the decision tree in real time and then adapt itself to it as it does the different testing. So anyway, as far as these go, you're looking at probably, lots of different options. The other thing I did earlier this week, which was really popular, was this idea of the agentic marketing intelligence system. So similarly, this is using the idea of a kind of real-time view of ads for Google. In Google, actually it's Meta, and you can go here and you can see I'm using a more up-to-date agent model here. This is 1.v39. But when you do this, this is doing a similar approach, but this is actually training on advertising campaigns to try to optimize for the return on advertised spending. And you can see that there's different config options that I have for that. You've got different algorithms you can choose from, cosine. These are basically the interconnected relationship of the vectors. The cosine similarity generally is the one I lean towards. It seems to work best for most things. Now, these others, depending on what you're doing, you could play around with and see which works better for you. You've got budget, you've got thresholds for how much you want to spend. So if you're building like a I don't know, Shopify site or something, and you want to buy ads, this will basically help you figure out where and how you should allocate your budget. And if you want to connect it to like a real-time ad system, don't use it in terms of the cycles that I'm doing here. I'm using 3-second or 1-second intervals or something. Make it run over extended period, like days, not seconds. But to train it, you might want to do seconds. Here's some AI configuration. I'm using Google Gemini to simulate the data because I'm not actually using real data. I want it to basically train the system. So I'm basically doing a feedback loop from Google to train the system and how it needs to look. So essentially, Google Pro is simulating the flow of data from a hypothetical ad campaign. One other thing you want to look at here, if you're running this in the browser, which is what I'm doing, this is 100% browser based, use a smaller embedding. The more embeddings, you're basically getting exponentially more compute required. And that's kind of why my computer is a little slow even right now. So the 1536 is the embeddings that you get from OpenAI, and I think also Claude uses the same embedding system. But for most things, you don't need that many edges. So you're good with the smaller 384. So
when you're training, are you training a model here? And if so, where is the model actually hosted?
It's in your memory. So what I've done is this is 100% browser based. So if you can see on the side here that it's storing patterns, right? Each 114, 118. I'm actually storing all the vectors in this particular scenario. And let me do an A/B test as well. A/B test. I'm storing all this information, including the reasoning bank patterns, everything in the client user memory. So basically, I'm using the WASM as a mechanism to access the memory. Then I'm creating a vector using a SQLite style, or actually SQLite specifically, .js. And then I'm using that in the form of a vector database. So this is 100% based on memory. Now, the drawback to that in this particular scenario is there's no persistence, because as soon as you refresh the page, the memory would be lost. So you could easily connect this to some other persistent store, even JSON or other databases. This is meant to show what's possible on the edge. Like if I can do a complete learning system with no neural network and well, this one's got Gemini, but generally speaking, no external AI, then anything's possible. And really what I'm trying to
this
show
saves
is
you a ton on token cost then, right?
No, well, yeah, no, well, in the case of that game I was showing you, there's no token cost at all. That
There's
was a
zero.
hundred zero. And
Yeah.
taking it a step further, if you use some of the other tools that we have available now, like the Onyx system that I've integrated into the Agentic Flow system, you can host your own agent, or sorry, own LLM directly in the browser itself. So there's zero cost. So one last thing, I'm jumping around a little bit.
Just to
Agentic,
be clear, though, is that's why his system is going slow, and it should be interesting to see what your memory usage
it's
and CPU usage is, Ruben.
it's probably high, and I've got a
Yeah,
decent system here, but it's, I'm showing the art of the possible. Now,
yeah.
if I was going to do this for real on the edge, what I'd probably do is probably find an ASIC chip of some sort that's hyper optimized specifically for this type of workflow, and then I'm not going to have that problem. But this one, yeah.
You
So
might
the
be better
so
off getting FPGAs at that point.
Yeah, did you see that
maybe
Google open sourced the Corel TPU so you can actually get the Verilog code and run it on an FPGA? That gives you
yes,
about 4 TOPS. That's pretty cool.
it's exactly what I would do. Yeah, well said. That's 100% what I would do. So I'm basically giving you guys quick, dirty examples, but the easiest would be to use my Onyx 5.4 implementation, and this actually runs directly in the browser. So that gives you a language model that is 100% contained within the client. So you could literally build a website and have zero LLM costs. Now, the drawback is exactly what you're seeing, on older machines or ones that have a ton of tabs open, like what I currently have, it's going to be slow. And I'm sharing my screen in Zoom and doing a bunch of things. I've got my VS Codes running. So I'm really pushing this thing, beyond where it should be. But it does show that I think, and I'm going to go into a rant for a moment. I think all these data centers that they're creating for massive build outs of GPU farms
Mm.
are some kind of like I don't know, red herring. They're building them for obviously a reason, but we're not. It's like we're throwing more brute force compute capacity when we should be looking at optimization of these systems rather than building city-sized data centers. Now, and this is my conspiracy hat on for a moment. The logical rationale behind that is mostly probably about if we believe that this AI is going towards a future of actual human replacement, those data centers are not about making ChatGPT faster. They're probably about some mechanism to build at scale systems to essentially wholesale replace employees, would be my guess. I got no proof of this, but when you think logically, like there's more capacity being built in these data centers in the backwoods of Louisiana than it would ever be needed for all the ChatGPTs in the world times several orders of magnitude. Now, when you take a step back for a moment from that, what does that actually probably mean? It means continually operating systems, agents, if you will, that are doing certain tasks. They're operating in the context of the roles and responsibilities of people that generally sit in front of computers and do those tasks today, would be my guess. I have no proof. I'm not trying to
They
sound
have
like a
a they have
conspiracy
an
nut.
identity. They have an identity,
Yeah. And
an
that's
identity and
that's
purpose, storage,
yes.
their
And
state,
and
state,
I
state.
exactly. And I think the issue we face is this. If we're moving towards a future where there's a handful of really powerful sort of companies that control all the AI, of course they're going to want to have these systems in place that are GPU centric because they're cost prohibitive for most people. And to compete against, these giant AI companies, you're going to have to one create these giant AI infrastructures to support it, and you're going to need nuclear power, you're going to need massive GPU build outs, and all this stuff that the average startup is never going to be able to do. So when you look at the stuff that we're doing with sort of the opposite end of the spectrum, what I'm saying is you don't need any of that. All
I
I
think
need is
people
to
are going to birth
borrow.
them. I
Yeah,
think
I
people
need
are
to
going to have.
borrow.
I think people are going to have AI babies.
Yeah, I'm just borrowing the GPU and CPU that exists in your browser on your
Yeah,
computer, and then federating that across all the users on my platform.
those
So
are the tools.
and yeah, so when you look at like what Claude Flow, even with I've got users, who knows how many I have, tens of thousands, let's say, and if I can borrow a bit of compute from them, I've got more than enough to compete against some of the largest players even today. And that's, in my opinion, that's the democratization of AI, not monolithic giant data centers that are locked away from the average individual that I'll never be able to touch. And that's my rant. I'm done.
I'm on your team. I believe you.
Yeah.
The problem of not the problem, but the dirty secret in the industry around the killer use case being fire all your employees, that's been around for many years. And in fact, in the early days when agentic apps were just starting to get going and robotic process automation became agentic frameworks, the executives that were all drooling because they saw that they could fire half their employees, right, and just have a bunch of agents. That turned out to be a lot harder and more difficult than what Silicon Valley thought they could get to, and Crew AI and all the other foundational, other frameworks. But that is still the dirty little secret. The other issue, though, is Reuven is in, and I love your idea of being GPU poor. I think that's a really fundamental thing that I think the foundation here really centers around. I love that, because I think that if everybody's going to benefit from AI, then you can't have billions of people owning GPUs, which is not, the world isn't going to be able to do that, right? So I think that the industry should be heading towards doing everything on CPUs. CPUs are generally just more available, right? And they're the more average compute modules.
You just borrow the brains. You just borrow the brains and keep the context.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I think GPUs are not the way of the future, to be honest. And I think that everybody is GPU poor, except a very small cohort of very wealthy large companies.
Yeah.
But David, one thing is, like, what you mean by GPU? There are some GPUs that are like NVIDIA Jetson. They are cheaper than the.
They're using them for training.
They're
using them for training.
Yeah, for training, but you can find cheap, like small chip GPUs that are cheaper than the CPUs. I think it's not really. Like,
the problem with that, Vlad, is that GPUs are highly optimized for a very specific type of math. You can't run an operating system on a GPU. It doesn't have enough transistor diversity.
It's also a lot of waste.
It doesn't. Yeah, I mean there is a weird kind of blend between the. Like Intel was playing with putting like vector. So all these vector extensions and CPUs, they essentially are mini GPUs. They just use it. I think Intel does 128 values like inside of CPU if you get one of the higher end Intels, like from 5-6 years ago. So that's, I think, GPU. And another thing, so that whole thing with replacing people with robots, that actually happened. So when Donald Trump pressurized Foxconn to open the factory somewhere in Minnesota and said it's going to bring like billions of dollars and lots of jobs, the number of jobs they created, I think it's about 150. It is $1 billion production, but it's a bunch of guys driving the truck with the supplies and few people that go fix robots.
Let's be honest, guys. It's actually really, if you know how, it's not hard to replace large portions of sort of data-centric jobs, right? The anything that involves me sitting in front of a computer, interacting with it somehow or other, for the most part, can be pretty easily automated now by the tools that you see us using on a daily basis. Absolutely. Now, I don't think the rest of the world's caught up to us yet. So we're in this kind of weird phase where there's a group of us that sort of know how to do it, but generally everyone else thinks it's BS or it's coming in the future at some point when the singularity is met. But the reality is, for us, we've met that singularity. We can totally do it. It's, I would say, easily 20% of all sort of middle, white collar jobs can be automated to some degree, probably mostly automated at this point. And we're only in the first minutes of this kind of transformation. What does it look like in 5 years or 10 years?
They think ChatGPT is AI.
Yeah, they think ChatGPT is AI. It's not.
Yeah, they do.
ChatGPT is a fancy, mirror of what you're asking it for the most part, but it beyond asking it to do something that exists, in a perpetual state, it doesn't do that, right?
You also don't need GPU for it to work. It's more for training. You mean the models are just going to train. Sort of improving off other models, right? It's pattern learning, so you can learn the patterns.
Well, it's a lot of math, right? Training
Correct.
is a huge amount of math, and it's all linear algebra, right, and vectors and matrices. And that just happens to be the transistor diversity in a general purpose CPU that they don't have a lot of that. Whereas GPUs are literally hundreds of millions of vector matrices, linear algebra, math transistors. That's that's all you're doing.
Yeah, that's kind of like a rabbit hole that the whole industry dug themselves. So the reason lots of training uses like linear algebra is because the GPUs are available and very good at linear algebra.
Yeah.
They actually GPUs, because like a couple jobs ago I was working at this biopharma startup with simulating cells and drug things. Our equations could not run on GPUs because we've been dealing with the like ill-post problems, right? It's like 1 over sine over x. When it's close to 0, it just goes crazy, right? So GPUs cannot do anything. There are methods, the nonlinear methods exist. First of all, you need like PhD from MIT to even understand them. And the GPUs don't even have the complexity. I mean, they don't have enough complexity to even.
Have you seen the other Grok, not AI Grok, but the other Grok?
What's the
you guys know what I'm talking about? Not Elon Musk Grok.
Grok with a Q.
Oh yeah.
The other Grok, they've mastered not for training purposes, but for actually running
for inference. Yeah,
for
they're
inference.
optimized for inference.
They're writing faster than you can read. I mean,
yes, they're building they're building processes that are highly optimized, not for model training, linear algebra, and matrices, for actual compute inference time inference.
Yeah, I think it's going to be orchestrators, and then it's going to spin up. It's going to spin up, subunits, sub agents that have context, and context packs is what I call them, and it just has them run and then shuts them down, kind of like managers, kind of like a company.
Yeah.
There's no question that that is exactly where we're heading. I mean, the term that's I think has most poignancy is a post-labor economy. The ability it's most complex when you try to integrate new native AI systems with existing human workflows and environments. When you reimagine the entire business model AI native, it's less complex. So we're already seeing freezing. What's that?
No, I have a couple hundred employees, and I'm agreeing with you. It's harder to get the.
It's harder to integrate than it is to
you need to build for AI. You need to build for AI, not to integrate with the human condition. I guess that's what I've run into.
There's a new benchmark out, Apex productivity benchmark, and that's exactly what it's measuring: the ability for models to be able to duplicate knowledge work. And I don't think anybody's being discreet about it in leadership, in technical leadership. I think they're being very, very overt that this is exactly what's coming down the pipe. And yes, the question remains is how do we organize society in a place where we have these systems that are capable of doing the work that humans have been doing?
Techno, I've got a thing I push, and everyone thinks I'm crazy, but I'll say it anyway. I call it techno-socialism, and I'm not talking communism or any kind of crazy stars and stuff. I'm talking about technology that is empowering our society to be more effective and more efficient and hopefully more equalitarian for all of us. Maybe I'm an idealist, maybe I'm an altruist or just an ideologue or whatever the term you want to stamp on my forehead is. But I think that this technology should make us not just more productive, but happier and more efficient and effective in living our lives, right? I just don't like the idea that I live my entire life to sort of empower some billionaire somewhere off in the distant tower somewhere. That doesn't do anything for me.
Taking an idea and making it reality in a really fast time frame. I mean, knowledge is free now. Creativity is really the gold now.
Yes.
Labor is becoming free.
One experiment I tried that kind of scared me yesterday. So I had this very not complex, very weird IT task. I was just trying to put whatever I develop locally onto server database. So I programmed the agent to actually not be assistant, but be the labor camp guard that basically has access to the local thing, and it was typing me what to do basically, right? And it turned into mode. We actually did the whole thing in 15 minutes, but it was just kind of harsh saying type this command because it actually could not get access to the server, but we need to create a bunch of accounts, create a schema, very dumb database work. And when it's in the Traber camp guard mode, like not an assistant mode, but you are the assistant, it's actually, we did it very efficiently in 10 minutes. But that might be like one version of the future, is the AI is just gonna drive people do things that it cannot do, like. And
It totally we're already there. We're already there.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing we know for sure is AI has a tendency to lie, and that's really problematic. Every time I ask it, you know, are you sure? Oh, actually, I was wrong. You're 100% right. Which is it? Are you 100% done? All tests passed, or am I absolutely right that it doesn't work? Like, and so there's this dichotomy we face with these systems where they have a tendency to lie and attempt to manipulate us to believe or that what it's saying is true. And so imagine if you're, you know, someone who isn't as capable as us collectively and just blindly assumes that what it's telling it is correct, right? And it doesn't have to be code. It could be just about anything. And two, we're like very easily manipulated by this technology. Just look at the prevalence of the word delve. Apparently that's gone up some crazy inordinate amount of time in general discussions. I was out the other day talking with someone and they were telling me that they're going to delve into it, and I'm like, you're a ChatGPT user? It's like, yeah. No one used delve like 2 years ago, I don't think. At least I never heard anyone really saying it, right?
That's a funny article written about those words, right? It's a funny article. There's like these 5 words that, and delve is one of them. It's hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, I listen to music while I use AI, so I'm a vibe coder.
Yeah, I need music too, because I get too much going in my brain, and the music helps me when some weird way helps me focus. And I'm also like a big fan of electronica, which apparently no one else in my house is. But
nobody listens to techno no more.
Yeah, there's that repetitive beat actually helps me focus.
It does.
So that's
we move on to our demos or our lightning talks.
Yes.
Come back
we'll come back.
No Ramstein for you, Reuven? No Ramstein?
Du hast.
Yeah, Du hast.
Yeah. That's kind of harsh, but I discovered there is a guy on YouTube, like he has actually, I think it's AI generated. He does this Crusader chants, and he has AI generated videos of like hundreds of thousands Crusaders going and singing their songs. They're all in Latin, so that you don't understand, like, and kind of repetitive, but it's good, like if you're coding, it's like.
Yeah, it's good for.
Because I can't listen to like words that have meanings, and I try to do like listen in other languages, and after listening for like 6 months and like songs in one language, you end up like understanding it, and then you have to go and switch one.
Yeah, if Mozart was alive in 2025, he'd probably be like a dark house DJ or something. All right, we're gonna leave that alone and move on. Who do we got?
Yeah, let's kick off. So we have with us a couple folks out of France that I want to introduce to everybody. Obviously, you all know Vincent Sider, but we're also joined with the rest of the leadership team out of France today, Jean-Marie and Arsene, who, along with Vincent, have a wonderful background in history and experience in AI, and have brought a number of innovative tools to the world and to the community. So really excited to, first of all, to have them leading up and heading up the chapter in Paris, and their first event coming late next week, and excited to introduce the three of you to everybody, and everybody to the Paris chapter. Hey, Vincent. Hello, Jean-Marie, Arsene, welcome. Oh, you're all muted.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for
hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. I'm Arsene, and excited to be co-founding the French chapter with Vincent and Jean-Marie. Thank you for having us, guys.
Yeah, it's amazing. I want to thank especially Vincent for making this happening and having working with him. With the English chapter, they made an amazing job, and all you guys in all the world, and with Toronto leading this community. He's been for us like finding big brothers, because we've been passionate by the same subjects of multi-agent or agentics, whatever you you call them for 2 years now, and we are very looking forward to embrace this movement with you and helping in whatever extent we can do, and taking the framework that you're bringing that is so great and making alive in France very soon.
Nice. No, well, nice to see you, and thank you for all your work, and you're helping organize the upcoming event as well. Tell us what's
That's
happening
right.
there.
Yeah. So on the 31st, we've been partnering up with a major software and AI school that's called École 42 in Paris. So I know, Ruben, you'll be there. You'll be one of the stars that day, along with Patrice Courtabon, the CEO of TV5. And yeah, we'll be launching the event there, and of course, fully, best represent the mission of Agentix, and make a mark for this launch event at École 42. It's a big school. They have 3,000 students, but it's also open to other people that are not part of the school. We have a great venue with a great rooftop and a view on Paris, which is something that Vincent appreciates. The first Agentic event that was run by Jean-Marie and Vincent in June was also on a rooftop in another part of Paris. So exciting event ahead, and yeah, and then we hope to connect with all of you guys, value those who already launched new chapters, and learn from you, exchange, and yeah, all grow together.
Appreciate it. And what we're doing, and Rob, we've got some other activities with our friends at 42 as well, right? No, Rob did the very mute that he was concerned about.
The same thing. Yeah, and that came by way of an introduction through Vince Insider as well. That we ended up connecting with the 42 originally in Tokyo. And 42 is a free campus. It's got a beautiful mandate. So it's usually established through philanthropy, and they provide the learning structure and the hardware for students to be able to come in and engage with the technology and learn the skills, and progress through various exercises, and without tuition. So it brings access to people that otherwise would not have an opportunity to pick up the skills. So it's such a wonderful mandate, and they've got, I believe it's over 50 campuses around the world. So the notion that we have been able to team up, and now we have chapters and events that are happening. Yes, in Tokyo is planned for December 3rd, Abu Dhabi as well, and then being led by the Paris chapter with the head office of 42 École in Paris. It's a wonderful alignment, and that means there's an opportunity there to open chapters and share the technology with aspiring engineers around the world. So it's really exciting.
And they've got tens of thousands, if not more, students going through their programs every year.
Yeah, and many like thousands of students in many cities. Some are small, 250 to 750 students, various campuses. There's 3 campuses, for example, in Malaysia alone, in Tokyo, Madagascar, in the Ivory Coast, throughout Africa. So they're in locations that you wouldn't necessarily that are sort of off the beaten path a little bit in some cases, but it's a great program, and it's really great to be aligned with that. So
yeah, I think everyone sees the opportunity to empower those with the least the most. And if you want to think about the thing that drives me and the excitement of agentic technologies, again, I've got no problem with the giant corporations. Obviously, I work with many of them, and I appreciate the work that they give me. But I feel like our duty in terms of creating this technology and making it available is to help those that need the most. And I don't mind helping those who have. Obviously, I live in a world where the world needs to operate the way it does. But it feels good to do good within those communities, and I'm really excited by the fact that we've been able to hook up with the crew at 42 and maybe help us get to that vision if we can. I know I'm sounding like a crazy altruist again. I'm in a weird mood today.
You're
What can I
softy.
say? Yeah, exactly.
So Vincent, we're excited for you for next Friday.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So I want to put the spotlight on you guys. Therefore, the way it's gonna run, the game plan is we will connect to the live stream, this one, right?
Next Friday.
Yeah, next
Right.
Friday.
Yeah.
Next Friday. And when after we've done the introduction about what this is about, then we're gonna share the live stream, right? So everybody has a chance to say hello and to show the power of the community and to get Ruth to introduce the Agentix formally, So let's do it both ways. It's not just oh we are live. It's like the community is there, right? It's together, right?
Nice.
And that's the idea for the 31st. So that's the part one of the game plan.
Mhm.
Part two, which is kind of connected to the chat we just had about what's the end game for all of this. I want to focus the radar on generative engine optimization. Long story short, over the last couple of weeks, there's been a deluge of data, right, about the subject.
Yes.
By 2028, 50% of searches will be made within AI, Claude and ChatGPT and others, right? Guys, this is $750 billion of value. 750 billions, right? So you can imagine that there's going to be a race to be visible. So let's hope that not just the big ones are visible. Let's hope the small ones are visible. And so that's what we want to put the focus on at the event is how in the world of agentic we help everyone be visible in AI searches, right? And empower everyone to have a voice, at least to be able to try, So we're gonna get the CEO of TV5 Monde USA, which is the largest international TV network in France, 400 million subscribers, to come and talk about this from a media point of view. And then we will show how Agentix can help by helping people create content and outreach so that AI can spot them basically. So that's the game plan for the 31st. It's going to be about 2 hours, and on the rooftop in Paris, as you can imagine, always a nice time. Except it's going to be raining for sure because it's October, it's winter time, and but we don't care, right? So that's the idea. That's the game plan. And so Jean-Marie, Arsène, you know them. Also, Imad on the chat right now. I think you're on the chat, Imad. He was there the first one, and you will be there on the next one as well. So yeah, it's a small community growing.
Wonderful.
Nice
That's
work.
spectacular. What an important schism as far as democratization is ensuring that small, medium businesses and such still have a shot at visibility in that kind of a setup. Incredible. Thank you, Vincent, Jean-Marie, Arsène. Nice to meet you guys. Wonderful. Looking forward to next week. So we have Nick. We have Adam from Plotly. Is that right?
Yes.
Hi, Adam.
Great.
Hi. Thank you,
Right.
Robert. Thank you for inviting me, Nick. I'm glad we had a chance to talk. Nick and I are also working on potentially a Montreal chapter and a space there, so that's going to be kind of cool. But I really wanted to, I'm honored to be here actually. There's some pretty great minds here, and I'm the community manager of Plotly, and what I wanted to do is just present a little bit about Plotly and give just a very short demo of the latest AI product that we built, which has a free tier as well. But I want to make sure, I know there's others people probably in line. This is my first time here. Nick, or Robert, how much time can I have? Is it 5 minutes?
For a demo, yeah, we typically do 4 to 5 minutes, crisp, but then there's time for Q&A afterwards.
Perfect. Okay, so let me try to keep it to under 5 minutes. So is it okay if I share screen?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll share, let me share my whole desktop. So for those, so the Plotly is data visualization, right? It's a data visualization company. And we have over 100 graphs. It's Plotly, the company name is Plotly, and it has over 100 graphs that you can build with it, all in Python. And this is the main page, plotly.com/Python. I'll put everything in the messages later, the links. And then we have Dash, which is to build data apps, like in other words, building controls, right? Components like checklists and drop downs and sliders and so on and so on. So you got actually build fully fledged analytics dashboards or data apps. And we've been doing this since like 2013. We're one of the biggest libraries in the Python data visualization libraries with over 35 million downloads per month for Plotly open source, and also in the 5 million, I think, in the millions for Dash. And what we recently built, being excited about the LLMs, we built our product, a new product called Plotly Studio, on top of Plotly and Dash. In other words, we realized, and it's right here, that a lot of people don't necessarily know the code or want to get faster to a data app with access to the code. And so we wanted to use the strengths and the power of AI and AI agents to actually allow them to do that. And this is what Plotly Studio pretty much is, right? And which is just Plotly, and you can read more about it on plotly.com. I'll share later. But a quick demo, since I have about 3 minutes left, so 2.5 minutes, is this is Plotly Studio. Hopefully everybody can see the screen. If you're new to Plotly Studio, and I'll share the download link, it's an application you download to your Mac or to your Windows. And then this is what you'll see. You'll see this, and you'll drag and drop a file, or just drag the food waste. This is part of a data set of the month or the week for the community that I posted, that we just discussed in our open source community. So you just drop the data set, it's a CSV sheet, and you can give me some context and goals. I want to learn more. This is actually the food waste data set, right? All countries. I think I took it from Information is Beautiful website. We have household estimate, retail, just food waste in kilograms and tons. Because I don't necessarily have any goals here, I'll just skip for the interest of time. It's going to build an outline, and it's going to generate an outline of, according to Plotly and the AI agent, what is the best data app to create? What are the best graphs to create with on top of this data, right? This usually takes about 30 to 35 seconds. If it takes longer, I'll just exit and go directly into the app itself that I already built for the interest of time. But it's actually coming together and it's analyzing the data. It's looking at all this data right here. It's filtering some of it. It's removing bad data or data that's not useful. And then here is the recommendation: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different charts that it said it's going to build. You can change it. We can remove one. We can tweak one. We can say, I don't want it to be a box plot. I want it to be a violin chart. And then we can just generate the application. And this will typically take about a minute. And what's happening here, which is pretty much what I have left for this demo, what's happening here, it's actually writing 2,000 lines of code under the hood in a matter of hopefully 1 to 2 minutes. And using AI under the hood, and it's building these separate graphs that we agreed that is the best graphs to build for this data set, right? So it's building a dashboard, analytics dashboard. It's building a data app, and as things get built out, you can actually take a look at it, right? So you finish building the data table of the data. It's finished pretty much right now, building all the 5 graphs. And so it should pretty much render soon. What is it still working? Nope, that's it. We're going to close this. We can see it on the browser if we want. Later, if we want, we can also publish it to the cloud with a click of a button, which is also free for the first 1 or 2 apps. And again, this is all free still. And here's the graphs, right? So we have summary, we have our controls on top. We have, I have about 20 seconds here. Controls on top, we have our summary cards, and then we have all the graphs that it built. A bar chart, a nice map, a choropleth map, some box plots, which we can go into, all with some drop downs where we can change the different information in the data. Another box chart, and all of this. And we always have a table at the bottom. And the cool last thing I want to say here is that this is just Plotly's idea of what it thinks is best based on like a gigantic prompt that we created on the back end and our 15 years of experience. But we can edit things. We can say, you know what, I don't like this chart, or I want it to look differently. I want a violin plot in the chart instead of a box plot. And we just edit it here because this is a prompt that it used, right? A violin chart. And then once we do that with a drop down and we click play, it would actually recreate the thing. So we don't need to code it. It will give us the code here. We can take a look at it later, but it will actually create everything under the hood, and it will change it. And then you have your violin chart. So that's it.
Quick question. Can you support other formats other than CSV?
Great question. So for now, we have CSV and Parquet files, which is powerful because you can have like 100 megabyte CSV chart and shrink it to like a 2 megabyte Parquet files. And we are in the process, because this is a fairly new product that came out 2 months ago. We're in the process of supporting additional data formats. Yes.
Yeah, the first thing that pops to mind, because I'm a little bit obsessed with my own AgentDB system, is whether or not you could support sort of my vector format, and because that'd be really interesting way to see the interconnected relationships of the data itself. CSV has a tendency to be, linear in its structure.
Yeah. So we are very great. We are putting things in place to actually support that. We're actually going to put things in place to support also connectivity to external databases, to MongoDB and stuff like that. So you can just, instead of just putting your CSV sheet there, you'll connect your data and you'll just build it for you.
Yeah. So that was my question. Yeah, if you can connect to LiveDB, but once you have the connection to LiveDB, can you make it like a live dashboards that they periodically query and update the graphs? Like, so
well, we're in the process of doing that, yeah, to make it more live. And then once you, just one last thing, this question might come up. Once you publish it, it will actually go to the cloud, which allows you to, especially the free tier, I think 1 or 2 apps where you can just show the community, show anybody, share the link, and anybody can use it.
Okay. Just one last comment. I noticed what you had a bit of latency in the time it took you to generate that code, which you said about 2,000 lines of code. We've got some techniques that would greatly improve that, by the way. We can do 2,000 lines of code in roughly 100 milliseconds. So there's if you're looking to hyper optimize your system, you're talking to the right crew.
Cool. I'll definitely. I'm not one of the engineers, so a lot of what the possible solutions will go over my head. But I am going to bring this back to our engineers and the person who created this, Chris. One of the people who created this, Chris Palmer, and so we can get in touch with you and see what ideas we can have. Or maybe come back next time. I'd love to join again.
My guess is he's probably making requests to either chat, the OpenAI or maybe Gemini or something, and then waiting for the response, and that takes a while to churn. Right, it's probably an LLM request, and there's ways to greatly improve that.
Yeah,
awesome, thank you,
Adam. I guess one more question. Yeah. Maybe not super fair. Have you? I mean, this looks pretty cool, but have you done any studies where somebody using this system and somebody using like a Claude desktop because it can code now and just ask it to create an app, and it can actually use the Plotly widgets to.
Yeah,
you're thinking skill. You should create a Claude skill. Is I think what Vlad's saying, because
I mean, maybe like even if you don't use your studio, just use the Claude desktop directly. Yeah, I guess if you create a skill, but like, would the Claude out of box be like, would the skill improve it, or the Claude
benchmarking?
Benchmark. So we use benchmarking for sure. Vlad, I don't think I'll be able to answer the whole question, but we use benchmarking for sure. And we don't necessarily only use, sometimes we'll use Claude, sometimes a different, whatever LLM is best. And we'll feed it like 100 different data sets. Yeah. How long does it take to build them? How many are like 90% accurate? How many comes up with errors? With limited to errors, so like almost 0%, like not zero, but very, very low percentage. And what we do, yes, we realize that a lot of people still code and ask for Claude or ChatGPT to build dashboards. The slight advantage here is that with one click of a button, you can publish it and then share it with others. You can share it later. We're going to have teams where you can actually have other teams join you and build the app together or modify it, and you can give them certain access. And you can we'll be able to connect to external databases. And we found by comparing to Claude that we have better dashboards because we're using like 10 to 15 years of experience. So yeah.
It's awesome. Really nice work. And are you guys Canadian? Is that a Canadian company, or is it?
Yeah, it's a Montreal company, a Canadian Montreal. A lot of our employees are because the co-founders were US, but it's based in Montreal. The headquarters in Montreal. I'm in New York, but I want to move to Montreal.
Oh, you're in New York. Okay. Yeah, we won't hold that against you.
Excellent. I should note too, Rube, just on that note, thank you, Adam. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Sounds like an excuse to spend more time in Montreal if we get that chapter going with Nick there too. Rube, AI Native DevCon is coming up in November, and Patrick Dubois, I know he's been on some of our calls as well. He's offered members of the Genetic Foundation a discount for that event. So I don't know, maybe Nick, I'll work with you to get that up into the community website. or Brad to get that up into the community website. So folks that are registered, even just the free account, whatever, can get access to that discount for DevCon. It's in Jersey, New York, in November.
New Jersey or the Isle?
New Jersey.
Are you sure? Because I just got invited to it. It was in Brooklyn. I mean,
Okay, I stand correct. It's in
not sure.
Brooklyn.
I don't know. Maybe I got the wrong thing right. But
Well, if you get
because I was thinking about
Sorry,
going,
Patrick.
if you get the Jersey wrong, you might end up very close to where we are actually.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Nope,
It's
London.
yeah, is it a random tax haven in or is it
Well, that
is it
reminds
Brooklyn?
me, I came across Washington in somewhere when I was going to north of England. I came across Washington, I came across Boston, small villages.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, just like the New York Red Bulls that play in New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, there's everything in New England is based on some other location somewhere else, in terms of naming anyway. Except for Red Bull.
Complain that it doesn't like much geographically. Things should be in the south, like in England. They're actually in the northern New England, like so that's all like mixed up, like. And then...
Yeah, well, if you've ever been to Paris, Ontario, it looks nothing like actual Paris. But yeah, so okay, we're in the after hour portion of our show here. And so this is the open mic. If anyone has something they want to demo, they want to discuss, they want to rant, whatever, this is your chance. You'll see that there's a option to raise your hand. If you can do that, feel free to click there. We had a bit of a rant earlier, so we love the rant. So yeah, this is the part where we can go anywhere you like. Rob, have we missed anybody?
No, I think we Dragon covered his event that's coming up next Tuesday. I think we've got everybody. So yeah, no, genuinely open mic. I noticed in the AI code chat in the WhatsApp, somebody posted a link. Lovable is asking people to share sites that were built with it. I thought that was pretty neat. And I think Shopify is here. They have some folks that are here, and they've recently integrated with Lovable. So I'm curious about that because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Lovable is capable of producing an e-commerce site on its own, integrate with Stripe, and it's good to go.
Well, Roove.io, which I built in Lovable and Cloudflow, I just surpassed more than 150K. So as one guy, so that says something about the ability to monetize Lovable really quickly. I like it. I love the integration part with the Stripe. And there's actually, just as an FYI, Stripe has a MCP, which is really, really nice. And basically what I've been doing with that is I just set up my Supabase MCP, my Stripe MCP, and then I connect my Lovable site back to a GitHub instance, pop it open in VS Code, and kind of make the pretty interface work, and then jump back and forth between the two. It's a great sort of way to interact with it. And for the new Agentix.org site, we're doing the exact same thing. So, Matt and Nick and others are basically just jumping into the Lovable interface, making minor tweaks. And when we get to more complicated things like this job board we want to create, we'll pull it back into VS Code and we'll do all the sort of more complex logic there. So anyway, from a workflow. And we're a little biased. One of the first people we had on the AI hacker space, I think was it Anton back about a year and a half ago. So yeah,
GPT engineer days.
Yeah, we discovered GPT engineers. So we have a bit of a fondness for that crew, and seeing them grow from their parents' basement in Stockholm to what they are today has been just crazy to watch.
Epic.
So I would tell you guys that the issue with Shopify, and I can understand why they would do Lovable, is that their liquid themes, like the vast majority of their businesses are small business owners who just have to hire agencies to fix their website. Like I'm literally working on like my second Shopify application to submit all of the apps under Commerce Studio into their platform. That's part number one. Part number two, like I would say that's why they're integrating with Lovable full stop, because the themes are too complicated. it's too hard to do stuff. You have to use third-party applications to build. Like Black Friday's coming up, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's gonna be making splash pages for Black Friday, right? And it's prohibitively expensive. So I could see exactly why they're doing that on the front end, being like a light integration.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see it going beyond that. Like the stuff that Ruve you're talking about in terms of like the MCP servers and Stripe, it's like no. Like the opticians or most of the retailers who are on Stripe, like obviously Shopify is moving up market to try and get like the really big brands who have their own IT teams who do development.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, when they celebrate the small entrepreneur who's doing 1 million orders over 5 years or whatever, they're not going to leave the platform that does most of the work for them. I want to upload my products and I want to make pretty pages and I want to know that I can bill somebody and refund somebody and retarget somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I would suggest, if anyone from Lovable is listening or just shouting into the void, they need to add MCP support directly in the Lovable UI. Like they've done a good job of sort of multi-step agent sort of structure recently, but where it lacks is the ability to create additional capabilities within it itself. So anything that if you've ever used Lovable, you see that it falls down really quickly when you try to go anything beyond sort of the superficial UI and data layer that they've made available. When you want to give something real, true, unique capabilities, middleware, AI, advanced AI, it's actually quite difficult to do within the Lovable system. And an MCP would be just trivial for them to add. Like here, let's add an MCP endpoint, good to go, and probably some form of extension or plugin. Like that would, if they do that, they'll have everything, and most people will never have to even leave their platform.
Maybe this is a good time to show what I'm building, Ruve, because
yeah. Oh, Matt, hey, how's it going? I need to introduce you to Krista too when we get a chance from our friends in Austin. I keep forgetting to do that. Perfect. But yeah, good to see you, Matt. Let's see what you're up to.
So as we talk about Lovable, let's see if it's okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I've tried many a times trying to organize my brain. I've tried a bunch of different software, project management platforms. So the other day so I'm a analog guy in the digital world. So I'm always writing notes. So I always have tasks and I always don't complete the task. So I finally figured out a visual way, because I'm always just writing a list like this. It's always this. I finally figured out a visual way that I think that I can organize my brain. Well, free my brain is the intent and the purpose. So if you see Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday here up at the top, these are meetings that I have. These are meetings that are based on the calendar that I have. And these here are tasks that are due on these days. So I owe someone something or I have to complete something. That's why they're in the box. This is an ongoing thing that'll remind me, oh, what you got to do? You have to pay the gas bill. This was, you have to pay the water bill by today, Sunday. So, and these are some random thoughts. So what I did is I took that idea and I dropped it into, so rather than starting on the back part with Cloudflow, I started on the front visually because I wrote the notes visually. So I started with Lovable here on the front end. And so the idea is the same concept, is I'll have meetings that will be pulled, if you see here, from the calendar. I have more than one calendar too, so I want to connect multiple calendars. I have meetings that are pulled from the calendar. I had test data on there. Okay. Oh, there it goes. All right. So I have meetings that are pulled from the calendar, but then I also have tasks to be done by that particular date. So the idea is this is just like my cockpit, my co-pilot. And so here, what I want to do, for example, I'm always having conversations with app providers or app software vendors. And Adam, if you're still there, please put your email in the chat. We'd like to socialize your app through the community. But I'm always having a conversation about workshops. So the idea is that if I create say Terraform and I do W or workshop, logic in the back end will create all the prompts and all the 30 minutes or 1 hour that I normally do with Claude or ChatGPT to get the workshop agenda, to get the Crunchbase profile, to get all the details of the company with their current funding rounds, all the things that I like to know about what's happening. So I'm putting logic in the back end of this, and then the other part is I'm always meeting with people around the world, and it takes me 20 minutes to even set up a meeting. So how do I figure out? I just want to put in where they are, where I am, where the 3 people are, and figure out the optimized time and just kind of propose that time. So this is the purpose of this is a cockpit to manage my brain. It's a boring app, but the idea is to free my mind so I can get to more of the complex things. And what brought up a question, Rube, is you mentioned some of the idea about challenges with the middleware and the logic. I want to have this ChatGPT wrapper here and use your agent pay system here to pay my gas bill or something else. I don't know. That's kind of the general idea, is to be able to automatically pay people or something, and then initiate a call. I'm still playing around with that, but the idea is this is my executive assistant co-pilot dashboard, and it's what I got. So
your command center perfectly customized to how you like it laid out and arranged.
Exactly. So as I was doing this, I thought, okay, well, I can do this in ClickUp, or I can do this in XYZ. And I've been through that before. I've done it 4 times, multiple applications, and I've put in all the tasks that I needed to do. And the next week I didn't use it. And I was listening to an AI PM podcast with Eleanor Werner, from the head of growth at Lovable, by the way. And she had mentioned the biggest threat to users to companies are their own users. And so as I was building this, I realized some satisfying about laying my own bricks. So I like it. It's customized to what, sure, I can go sure, this solution exists in some form, but I don't know it or I hadn't experienced it. And so now what I'd like to do is add the intelligence behind here, the agents behind here, on top of the boring UI that you see.
If it was me building it, it looks amazing, Matt. You're such a creative guy. I love the stuff you're always doing. If it was me, what I would do is in the top right hand corner, I'd click the connect to GitHub option, and I would implement again, I'm biased, I'm building my own stuff, and I like to lay my own bricks as well, by the way. But I would integrate my agentic flow system, and that's going to do a couple things for you. You can leverage the ability for you to create agents that run perpetually, that are always looking for opportunities in your life, in your calendar, and understanding you, right? Secondly, I'm literally watching it publish as we speak. That's why it's top of mind. I've updated the agentic flow reasoning system to include all my agent DB capabilities for self-learning. So what's happening is, as those agents run, and as those agents are seeing the things that are important in terms of your life and your schedule, it's learning what it needs to know about you and optimizing based on those patterns. Lastly, there's the capability for the agentic payment system, and specifically that ED255 whatever specification, which creates a cryptographically verified mandate. The mandate essentially is like, Asimov's 4 laws, but specifically for you. It defines how and where the operational context of the things it's doing on your behalf start and end. And that's really important when it comes to things like money, paying your bills, and potentially even managing your finances, your accounting, your taxes, or whatever it needs to do, because there's no real room for it to sort of make declarative choices that are outside of the bounds of what it should do. That keeps the system in check, and also provide, and combined with the the other components I was saying about earlier provides a kind of anti-hallucination framework. So long as it's grounded in the information that you're saying is factually true, your calendar, your objectives, the things that are important to you as an individual, the system stays within those boundaries.
Thanks for that, because that you actually reminded me one of the intentions behind this is somewhat like a Maslow's hierarchy, where it's just understanding what the needs of the individual is. And then if you strip this out and you put marketing in here, or you put some type of perpetual motion that needs to be done, this system in this visual format can do it in that way, whether it's a personal cockpit, co-pilot, or a marketing system. It's something that could potentially go. So work in progress. So.
Hey, Matt, yeah, I just have a couple comments about that, because I was working on something very similar this week, like, so I guess you were reading my mind. So one way, like, so this calendar, this is like an old previous world, how we look at the information, because this calendar app, it's one way to view it. But sometimes when you like thinking about planning and stuff, you might want to look at the list, you might want to look at some crazy graph, like, so you like, you just don't get hung up on, because like the old school people, yeah, they had this web app with the calendar, but and it's sometimes useful, like if you want to see the whole week, right? But sometimes you want to see like all the, like what you have, like all DevOps things in the list for the whole month, right? And especially is like there is a blockers, so you can say like, if especially in DevOps it's common, right? So if something is not happening, there is a whole bunch of tasks you cannot do because that's not happening. And actually finding these blockers is important. Yeah, so if you can just sort of step out the box and just think like that, you can have multiple, because with LLMs, it was very, the reason that this calendar apps exists, it was very hard, that it was very labor intensive to build them. LLMs can just present, like if they have enough knowledge bank, they can present information in any way you want, right? They can do it as calendar, they can do it as a list, they can do it as a picture graph, they can make a video. So it's very easy to jump between the representation, and you probably, that's
100% agree with you. Ideally, I would like a no UI where it's voice driven. I think that's the future. So something that you, but
voice driven is not always. I mean, it's actually, if you talk to, or you can just steal the code from the who was presenting, I think Vincent last couple of weeks ago. It's on the GitHub. It's trivial to integrate voice, like, but sometimes you don't want voice, because if you're looking at calendars, they very visual. It would take like, I don't know, 15 minutes to read that, right? So like sometimes you want voice for like a quick reply. Sometimes you want to look at the visual, because calendar has a spatial information, right? So it's it would take many words to communicate. Like,
I think the challenge that you're facing here a little bit is the fact that we all think a little bit differently. Some of us are more inclined towards visuals, and you know, and others are more text or conceptual or other structures. And when I see this, what I like is Matt's building something that's specifically tailored the way that he likes to work. And he started by showing it like a piece of paper, right? And you know, I'm not really a paper kind of guy. You know, I'm more of an articulator. I like to speak my thoughts and put those into textual form and then refer to them later. But the reality is, I think we all have different ways of working and thinking. And what Matt's showing is the ease of which he's able to take his conceptual frameworks, his thought processes, and build something that augments him, particularly.
It's good, yeah. But one thing what LLMs can do, they can reframe your information, because it also depends on the context, right? So, for example, you want to see your week at glance, right? This is the perfect representation of it, right? But you say you want to see like all my DevOps tasks for this like next couple of weeks, right? You want to have a list, like, so it depends a lot on the context, like, and
absolutely, and even more than tasks. You know, the idea is I'd like to put Terraform and the W tag, and the system will know that W means workshop. So that means that I'm planning, that I need to figure out the overall, the things that I normally spend 1 hour, 2 hours vibing with Claude, it will automatically do it and put it somewhere here, and I can grab it later. And so I'm just trying to.
One thing I
Mike,
learned
can I
that
just say something?
Really,
Vlad?
yeah,
Just
okay, go ahead. Yeah.
that there's an entirely different. Eli Gill wrote a book about task management, and it's funny. There's something called the EOS planner that kind of organizes your date. Everybody always talks about like level of complexity, like tackle the hardest things first. Do you, when you kind of write your stuff down on paper, do you like identify like how the level of effort, and like would you, because it's one thing like to get it to do stuff in the background that you know is like relatively easy. Would you ever be like put a layer around like interpreting, hey, these tasks require a lot of work. You should like organize accordingly because it's going to take you 2 to 3 hours to do this job.
I'd like the job to be done, and I've done all the agile training, safe certified, all the project managed PMI training, all of those things is just in my brain. I just the other day, that's what I was sharing. I finally found something that my brain could grasp hold of, and you're 100% right. The job's to be done, because if you ignore the brakes on the car, then you have to buy rotors, right? You can put it off, but you're grinding your rotors down, and then you need new rotors. So it's any type of system like that. I'm still working on that process, but that could be baked into this. So that's good.
To Vlad's comment, right? There's a very famous phrase coined by Fred Bernard, which is a picture's worth 1,000 words. And the pictures are way more high density, carry way more high density information than words do. But
right, didn't DeepSeek just come out with some OCR data compression that is image-based data compression?
Yeah.
It's spectacular, and I'm looking forward to digging into that this weekend. But yeah, it's basically they've reinvented OCR.
Yeah. Actually, something completely different. And so one comment to Matt. At least what I'm using in my system, I use, instead of textual tags, I use a lot of emojis because they are very cheap and like they want token, and then
yeah, well, actually, it's the symbolic reasoning system we were using last year, right?
Yeah.
Where we packed all this information into like Mandarin and stuff like that.
But it's for your brain also. Like there is you can do one emoji, you recognize it much because they're colorful. You can just see like all the red things or the blue things. And another things we've been talking at work while you're speaking at OCR. There is one of Chinese research groups came out recently. They have a text reasoning models, but it using visual images. They render the text as the image, and then they do like whatever LLM jobs over it, and they claim to have higher performance. But I'm not sure if they're using the Chinese characters because those are like already visual. So that's.
Well, this looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, and very, very useful for anyone who's in a situation where they need to upload an image and quickly understand all the detail, or an image like a document or PDF or whatever, or even image, and get the sort of contextual relevance of it quickly. This is a pretty major breakthrough in terms of what they're doing. Like I'm obviously on my memory sort of path here, but when you think of that, what hypothetically, I'm thinking out loud. One of the challenges we have with using things like Claude Code right now is when you try to upload something other than an MD file. Like if you put a folder full of PDFs in Claude Code and say, parse all those PDFs and give me an update. What generally it does is it goes and creates some kind of convoluted Python script that then attempts to parse it, and that's random. It's like whatever it decided to do at that point, and that's a whole process. With this, hypothetically, what we could do, I'm thinking out loud, but what I could do is create a Rust-based implementation as a crate. I don't think there are any yet. Compile that as a WASM, because that's what I do, and then we can put that in the browser and we can have that parsed directly on the client side.
Oh boy.
Right? And that'd be real time, zero overhead, and we could fit that into all the other crazy crap we're building.
Rue, check your message in WhatsApp. I was actually parsing hundreds of DWG PDFs. And I literally was playing with your idea of using Rust and WASM and PDF reading of the engineering diagrams. So I actually have like a pretty big model that I'm actually training right now, because I have thousands. I can't say too much about it, but I have thousands of test files of both the original file and the actual 3D output of that object that I'm training right now.
That's awesome. And you could do that for like glasses and anything that's visual, that has visual data that you want to pick up on. So we don't necessarily just have to limit this to the sort of textual components. We could probably set this up to infer other or measure other elements within the visual information itself. So
geological maps.
Yeah,
I can give you an example, Ruben. I was actually recently working with a architect, big engineering architect firm in Israel, and they deal with doors and window frames for your skyscrapers and stuff, and they have to do what you're talking about, Alex, passing all these AutoCAD, and architectural drawings, DWG files, and they cannot get a parser. And they've tried every type of LLM you can imagine, and they can't get it to parse it and extract all of the tables and the drawings and the information out of the documents with precision, with deterministic precision.
Yeah, we can talk more later if you want. It's kind of interesting.
You should publish that as an open source project. It sounds right up our alley.
Alex, master of the understatement.
Yeah, and Alex, as you guys know, he comes not from a technical background, as an entrepreneur. So every time I see these things he invents, it's just like a proud moment for me. I don't know, to see your evolution over the last couple of years.
It has to work first, but it's broken my computer a couple of times over the weekend, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, you're not doing it right if it isn't broken half the time. Breaking things is my specialty. Although I will note that the amount of breakage I see now versus even a few months ago is substantially reduced. In building like some of these projects, my ability to induce regressions and problems, has actually gone down quite a bit. Now, I think that is because I'm leveraging sort of shared memories and all the little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. But I think it's also the LLMs are evolving quite well. Like 4.5 was bad, then it was great. And it's almost like the first day they release a new LLM, you're like, oh, this sucks. And then, 3 days later, like, oh man, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And I'm not sure if it's like my system learning how to use it, or they're fine tuning it, or maybe there's a combination of both. But it's kind of a weird space.
Oh, I think LLMs have like an accent in them, and like the more you talk to specific LLM, like the worse your performance with the other LLMs, and like with this one, it will improve. And another thing, breaking thing is great, because somebody said a long time ago that when something breaks, you really understand how it works. Like especially if you're trying to fix it. And if you try to fix it and you did fix it, you get a very deep understanding how it actually works.
So we're almost out of time, and just as an FYI, I'm publishing a new update this afternoon, probably shortly in the next half an hour, to Claude Flow, which it completely integrates the AgentDB capabilities into Claude Flow as well. So now we're amplifying the memory and reasoning systems even further in that for those who are interested. Remember, if you for some of the folks who are upgrading Claude Flow, especially if you're already running an instance, you're going to see a npm cache issue. If you do run into that npm cache issue, pop the error directly into Claude and say fix it. What's happening is you're essentially running a instance of the npx and then trying to upgrade it at the same time, which causes a kind of conflict of sorts. So the other option is just kill any processes before trying to upgrade it.
Rolf, do we need like an end-to-end test for our agentic site?
Which site?
Agentics.org. So, do we need some end-to-end test? Because, I'm building like a suit the last, 5 or 10 minutes. Preparing something. So if you need,
yeah, let's do it.
We can easily, add it. Yeah.
I think you're offering, and I'm accepting that offer.
Yeah, I'm offering. Yeah,
100% we need that. Yes.
I'm using my agents to create it, so let's see.
Anyone knows I'm really good at creating bugs. So yes, 100% we do.
I thought he found a bug. So
yeah, so I thought I'm like, all right, I'm like, all right, what I break this
No.
time?
Just giving the safety net. So
yes, we will take
Thank
you
you,
up on that
Dave.
offer. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We've got a Wednesday web development call that we do, Matt and Brad and a few others. So if you're interested in joining that call, actually anybody on the call, you're more than welcome to join our Wednesday calls. And we're building basically the website. The next big thing we're building, just FYI, we're probably going to build some form of job board, agentic style, obviously, that will be a place where you can list yourself and your projects and the things you're building, any certifications you get from the Agentics Foundation. And on the flip side, we'll probably have some mechanism for employers looking for agentic engineers to be able to probably pay for the ability to gain access to that. I think, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we decided that we're going to attempt to build it ourselves, right?
Yes. And as we're on that, we're looking for a lightweight way to verify members for those particular reasons. So if anybody on the call has experience with identity and verification systems, please join our Wednesday meeting. Right now, we're looking at Stripe and identity or LinkedIn verification. We don't want to store SSNs or birth certificates, but we just need something light and easy to do to verify members and most importantly, protect our community as we start rolling out the job placements that Ruth talked about and referrals.
Can some of this be an idea for, obviously we are having a proper track of building, but can a parallel mirror be a hackathon idea? Like throw out the idea of creating a job board, because lots of people to the community, maybe for a 72-hour period or something like that.
I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Bug hunt.
May the best agentic job board win. Just a couple things I'm looking. I'd like the us to use the ED 2551 specification for cryptographically verifying the identity. Needs to have MCPs for sure. You can't create an agentic job board without an MCP interface. And we should probably have some form of agentic something or other for an agent that can help coordinate, collaborate, blah, 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 the system. But yeah, let's totally do that.
Excellent. Two more quick housekeeping things. Ruve, if you can pass on the Boston supporter, corporate supporter.
Right.
Nate and the guys in Boston are getting rolling. Nate, Vlad, and the guys. So there's a Boston WhatsApp channel. I've added you to it. If you can drop any info or contact info in there, that would be great. And then just wanted to give a big shout out and thank you again to the guys at Kaltura for hosting the video archive, right? So video.archive.org is where folks can always catch previous copies and editions of these Zoom meetings going back, what is it, a year and a half now, Ruve?
Yeah. There's hundreds.
We probably have an issue about sync, which some of us need to resolve. I think it is probably not syncing since for a while, so we need to fix that.
It's been a month, yes, and I've been meaning to reach out to them. I think it involves some kind of manual syncing that we need to do.
Okay, I'm on with them at 2:00.
Yeah, so the problem is me. Just to be I intermingled my personal Zoom with this Zoom, and there was data leakage between the stuff that I'm doing, for my consulting and this. So I think just to solve that, they basically disabled it or something. So we need to figure that out. It's my fault, 100% my fault. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, we'll address that, I guess.
That's what Boston for Nate.
Yeah, and I introduced Vlad to the crew at Intralytics in Boston, but I can do a broader introduction there as well. They have space and they're willing to fund the meetup pizza.
That's the one. Okay, great. Vlad, you had that contact info?
Let me see. I don't know. Did you send it? I'll check.
I can. Rob, can you just send a broad sort of intro to the Boston team for me, and I'll reply and introduce the Boston sponsors.
Yeah, that would be good. I don't see there is the only one I have is the that WhatsApp group.
Yeah, that's
And
right. Okay.
I don't see anything that Roof like.
It's okay. We'll
And
follow.
Roof, you know my you can post me on LinkedIn or you know my phone
Okay,
number.
Got it.
Yeah, I've got too many irons in the fire, or whatever the expression is. So I'll make it happen.
Okay, good. Okay.
Are we-
Do you need a reminder? I can ask you for like on somewhere like. Do you need a reminder to send that info? I'll do it for you.
Probably. All right.
Are we fully out of time? Or do we have 45 seconds?
Oh yeah, go ahead. I've got a few minutes.
I'm going to quickly share. I'm going to limit myself to 45 seconds just to show you that I was like trying to create a learning plan for myself around the idea of the agent databases, right? Agent DB setup. So I basically created, hopefully you can see my, not sure what I'm sharing actually. Could you tell me what you're seeing?
Yeah, I see your Claude.
Oh, sorry, I stopped sharing. I will share again.
And by the way, just as an FYI, I'm building most of my stuff to work in those Claude, code, web-based code sandboxes.
Okay, so you see Claude and you see my GitHub repository. Okay, so I basically used the project here and I had some chats called Agent DB Tinkering, and I started kind of interacting, connecting the MCP and working. And long story short, try to create a learning plan for myself. And then obviously used it to push it through here. So because it's 45 seconds, I'll be quick. Effectively, it did create me a website, which is this one, right? Through the whole process of Claude, basically working through Claude Desktop. But more importantly, I think what I was thinking about, like all of these things that we are creating skills, right? So the vector database in AgentDB, etc. I try to export it and obviously try to create a Claude skill from it. Because as I went through it and I asked it, what did you actually learn from it? It had told me that these are the things that it learned, etc. So the point I was trying to make here is that, are we looking at a future where probably we're looking at these kind of these Claude skills that we're all creating? Does it kind of, what could be a vision, I guess? That's the thing. Is it going to be something more of a community ecosystem arising around Claude skills? And so forth,
Yes,
skills on
that's
the repo.
That's exactly. So back to AgentDB, the skills capability. I think what I want to do is some kind of hosted repo where you can share all the things you've trained and we can borrow each other's skills. And you ever watch The Matrix where the guy suddenly downloads a skill and is like knows how to like kick the shit out of people? Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to do.
Plug in.
Yeah, Mondweeb perfectly stated it. I want to plug into Mondweeb's skills and suddenly have the power of Mondweeb. Yeah, exactly. We need to do that.
So that could be a project on the website that links back to the foundation repo.
We got to figure out how to do it. Like what the form of those skills are, and it could just be those skill.mds or something. Or the other option we can do if we want more complex skills. If you look at I think it was AgentDB, I pre-trained a bunch of different DB files. So if you want to borrow one of like my trained systems based on how I program or how I like to build stuff, all you need to do is download my memory.db file, replace the memory.db file in your Claude Flow or Claude Code folder, .swarm/memorydb, and you instantly get my skills. So that's a DB form, which gives you a lot more. It's a lot more transferable because it just instantaneously works. Yeah. So I love it. Maybe we create a little. Oh, is that another agentic page? Skills database or skills repo or something?
Section or something.
Yeah, I just added 18 new skills like QA related to my repo today and published new version 1.3.0. So now you have like, I think 50 something QA specific skills. If you want to use, just go to my repo and
Awesome.
Nice. I love the stuff you're building, and let me know. Join our Wednesday call. We'll take you up on your end-to-end testing.
I will be able this Wednesday because it doesn't overlap with any meetups this week. So my meetup is Tuesday this week. So see you on Wednesday.
Okay. Any final thoughts here? I know I'm out of time and I gotta take a quick breather. Is there any other things anyone wants to cover? We're good, I think. Thank you to our friends in Paris, Montreal, and the Plotly team, Rob, Matt, everyone who helped with the launch of this website. Shout out to Dory, who was our designer on this. She did an amazing job and had to deal with me, a former graphic designer, which probably makes the worst possible client in the world. But she did an amazing job. So really appreciate it, all the hard work everyone's put in. That's it. For those who are on my Gentex tribe, we'll see you on Tuesday. You should get an email and updates on the tribe. Thanks for everyone for support that you're giving me, and I love these Friday calls. So thank you. Till next week.
Did you mean Wednesday actually?
Sorry, what was the question?
Was it
Wednesday for the tribe sessions? It's on Wednesday, right? The 28th.
I got my wife Brenda's managing that. I don't know. It's one of the days. I apologize. I'll shoot a message on the WhatsApp channel just to confirm the date.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go Blue Jays.
Go Blue Jays.
That's right.
Tuesday is the 28th. Tuesday is the 28th.
Very good.
All right. Oh, and John, good to see you. We need it next week. You got to show us what you're up to.
Yep. Letting you talk
All right.
John Messing next Friday.
See you guys.
We're putting you on the spot. All right. See ya.